Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order with a reminder to silence your electronic devices. Also, just a general reminder that we will have a video and audio recording of this meeting. Be available on YouTube as well as the local cable channel. Mrs. Williams, can I get a roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Paul Alexander.
Here.
Miss Stacy Fleming.
Present.
Miss Shantae Jones.
Here.
Miss Rachel Kirkland.
Here.
Madam Chair, Mr. Carlos Vargas will be absent this evening.
Thank you very much. All right, I will go ahead and lead the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have any additions or corrections to the agenda? Nope. Seeing none, can I get a motion for approval of the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Can I get a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Superintendent spotlight.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board. Our spotlight tonight focuses on this season of thankfulness and tradition. At this time last year, we were all still working to keep up with the changing dynamics of our society and community while maintaining the greatest sense of normalcy possible for our students. Am I not on?
All right, we'll pick up there. This year, as we continue to navigate the challenges in returning to full-time in-person instruction, we're also able to take a moment to be thankful for our accomplishments and for our traditions that we're able to return this year. Those including in-person concerts, sports, parades, and our family food market, where this week we'll also be handing out blankets for our families. In addition, we'll hold a vaccine clinic at Cougar Elementary School for all students ages 5 and up on December 18th. As of now, we already have over 60 people signed up to attend. In the spirit of thankfulness this season, we'd like to take a moment to highlight the tireless work of our food services staff here in Manassas Park. We've talked a lot in the last year about how learning changed during the pandemic, how the role of the student changed, and how the role of the teacher changed. Tonight, we'd like to spotlight the food service workers for their ability to evolve and adapt throughout the pandemic to be sure all of our students still had access to appropriate nutrition. We recently received communication from No Child Hungry Virginia praising our food services team for their commitment to our school community. Since I wasn't able tonight to bring you into our school cafeterias, I thought I'd bring one of our school cafeterias to you. So we're going to go ahead and take a look today inside of Manassas Park Middle School's cafeteria. And I hope our sound is okay.
I'm so thankful for our cafeteria workers because, well, they give us food and they always have a positive attitude. They always help us clean and they always help us get our food.
Well, I hope you enjoyed a look inside of Manassas Park Middle School's cafeteria. I also want to thank several of our food service workers who were able to join us here this evening. I think we all know that they are some of the people in the division that wake up the earliest to get to school very early and start making breakfast for our students. So I want to highlight a few of those workers who were able to join us tonight. We are joined by our school nutrition manager, Greg Taylor, and then several of our school cafeteria workers. We have Jerry Fitzsimmons, Luz Vasquez, Stephanie Green, Mirna Suchite, and Karina Leon. And I'd like to take this time to ask you guys to come on up to the front and be recognized with Madam Chair Kirkland, and we'll take a picture of everybody together.
Thank you.
All right, perfect. Everybody, 1, 2, 3. And one more. Thank you so much. And that concludes our spotlight this evening.
All right. Thank you very much. Any comments from the board before our group leaves us?
I just wanted to personally say thank you. That when I know my kids are running out the door, I just wanted to say thank you. When my kids are running out the door, like so many others, and they don't have a chance to get breakfast, you guys got them. You know, you're receiving them, you're getting them, and you're making sure you're taking the worry off of me and a lot of other parents to know that they're fed and they're going to have a great day because they're not going to be hungry in the morning. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And I too want to thank you just for the special relationships. I know her name escapes me. She was talking about being there to listen to the kids. You've had the pleasure of watching all of our kids grow up. And you've created some very special memories for both my kids, but for one in particular. And he looks forward to seeing you every day, as do his classmates. There are all sorts of kids in our school system, but some of them really appreciate you very, very much. So thank you for all that you do. And now you can run out the door.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right. Public hearing on the ESSER local plan funds. All right. I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. The purpose of this public hearing is to allow comments directly related to the ESSER local plan funds guidelines. Citizens wishing to speak must sign in. When called to the podium, please provide your name and Manassas Park City address, or if staffed, your job title and work location. Each person is allotted 3 timed minutes to make comments. Mrs. Williams will let you know when you have reached your 3 minutes. Mrs. Williams, do we have anyone sign up to speak?
No, Madam Chair.
Have we received any email comments?
No, we have not, Madam Chair.
Okay, I am going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Thank you very much. Moving on to regular public comments. Do we have anyone signed up for regular public comments?
No, Madam Chair.
Anyone send any emails?
No, they have not.
All right, then we will dispose of the other guidelines. Fantastic. Thank you. All right, moving on to ongoing business. School year 22-23 calendar feedback. Mr. Neff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And you are correct. It has been an ongoing process for this school calendar, and I anticipate that we will, move into January as well before we get a final approval. Madam Chair, members of the board, I'm here tonight to share the results of the calendar survey to the school division that was presented by its stakeholders. This presentation aligns with all three goals of the strategic plan. As a recap for the board, 2 proposals were presented to you at the November 1st work session. At that time, it was indicated that we wanted to survey our stakeholders in an attempt to gain feedback on both options. Links to both options were posted on the website, and emails were sent to staff and parents seeking their feedback. That survey opened on November the 8th and closed on December the 3rd. Both calendars featured similar options for a winter break, which was a 2-week break, but did offer numerous differences, and each of the calendars total 180 instructional days for students. Option A offered more of a traditional approach, similar to our neighbors from Prince William County. While not exactly the same, they are very similar. While option B offered earlier start and end dates, which is non-traditional for Manassas Park City Schools, and a change or a recommendation for change in the placement of spring break to align it with the end of the 3rd quarter, which would be in March. The survey gained 453 responses. You can see from the graph it appears to be fairly even in the number of parents and staff that responded. The total numbers do add up to more than 453 if you are counting in your head, and that is because we do have staff members who are that are parents that have children in our school division. In response to the traditional calendar, option A, the majority of the respondents, over a 2-to-1 ratio, voiced their option for this choice. The interesting thing about both calendar choices is that no matter which option was chosen, whether it be A or B, the percentages between each group of stakeholders was pretty much close to the same. Respondents were asked if you could make one change to option A, and I will say that they could do both A and B. So we would have, we had 417, I believe it was, for option A and 300 and some for option B. So they could click on both options and make their choice and their recommendations about any changes. But respondents were asked if you could make one change to option A, what would it be? 56% stated no change. 17% were interested in moving the spring break from the traditional time around Easter to the end of the 3rd quarter. 12% wanted to start the school year a little bit later. I presume that would be to go back to a post-Labor Day start. 9% responded to other and offered feedback, and that was a variety of different responses. Most of them were completely separate. I will say we did have 5 responses to include adding holidays that reflect the diversity of the community. Other responses, onesies, were aligned with Prince William, decrease the number of professional development days in August for staff, end the school year earlier, include a fall break, and move this day and make it that day, whatever it might be, like a parent-teachers conference day. And then 5% asked that the winter break be shortened. For option B, respondents were asked if you could make one change to option B, what would it be? 38% wished to start the year and end the year later. 30% liked the calendar as is. 21% did not like spring break at the end of the 3rd quarter and preferred it tied around the Easter weekend. And 6%, which was 24 total responses, responded to other and submitted a variety of responses, including option B, cuts into summer camps. It would be a challenge for staff that lived in Prince William County whose children attended Prince William County schools or any other school division schools with having to start so early. This year, more than ever, a regular summer break is needed for students and for staff. There were also inclusions of comments like please sync with Prince William County, add teacher work days throughout the year, and add and celebrate non-Christian holidays. And then 3% included a shorter winter break. So the conclusion, based on the results of this survey, it would be my recommendation that we move forward with option A. However, the board may want to consider some adjustments based on the feedback that I have shared with you. A reminder that any adjustments do come with trade-offs, and I'm happy to make any adjustments the board so deems necessary, and I can certainly present this calendar for approval at the January meeting.
Any questions for Mr. Neff?
If you would like to direct me to make some changes to add those other holidays, I'm certainly happy to do so. I believe Prince William added 4 non-traditional holidays to their calendar. If you wish for me to do that, then I would ask for maybe some direction as to where we get those 4 instructional days. Certainly that's the preview of the board.
Okay. So, what are your thoughts on that as a board to start off?
I mean, I've asked a couple times in the past specifically. I know like Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, like some of those, holidays as well. I'd like to, I kind of would like to, if we've narrowed down between the 2 options, looking at option A, maybe almost if we have time to look at or do we have opportunities within A to sprinkle those in, not revisit both options. Let's just get B off the table now,
Yeah.
focus on A, and then determine within A, are there opportunities to make those things happen?
How do we feel about A versus B? Do we feel that the stakeholder, based on the data, that A really is the one to go with?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same. Okay.
absolutely.
So, based on that, and I'm just for edification, I am pulling up Prince William's right now, so I can at least have a frame of reference here.
Do we know the number of professional development days versus our number of professional development days in A, option A?
Option A, I believe, had, teachers have a 200-day contract.
Okay.
Traditionally, they've worked anywhere from 193 to 196. With those days in which they don't work, the consideration is that they do spend a lot of time of their own hours grading or planning or attending meetings and so forth. So those are really kind of called discretionary days that we give our staff. So they don't work the entire 200 days. They work 190. I think in this calendar is 194, if I recall correctly. We could look to decrease that if you so choose. That's certainly up to you. You can look at adding those non-traditional holidays. Again, we would have to add the instructional days.
Somewhere else.
Chair Kirkland, I believe there are 4 days in Prince William's calendar, the 26th of September, the
Yeah.
5th of October, the 24th of October, and the 21st of April.
So, just to give you some idea, Prince William and Manassas Park, judging from A to what was approved as their calendar, they have the same start date. They start on August 22nd. Their Labor Day holiday is the same. I think they get to the Jewish holidays, September 26th and October 5th. Then they close for Columbus Day. They keep that.
When do they end?
They end.
I believe it's the 15th.
June 15th, according
So ours is June 9th on option A.
Right.
So that's almost, I honestly, I don't want to extend that end date beyond
Right.
June 9th. I already think it's,
So then
If no
we get
summer.
in the then we're horse trading. One of the things that we have right now is October 10th. Well, no, it's a virtual work day for our staff. Parent-teacher conferences are Halloween.
what about adding asynchronous days?
we still don't have a whole lot of guidance on what those are going to be, if I remember correctly. You mentioned that earlier. Dr. Saunders, do you have more information, or just want to give us some more details on that?
No, no, other than, I think at this point, understanding the requirements around student days and number of hours that are required under, under code and such would be important before we started to identify specific asynchronous days or virtual learning days. So at this point, I would recommend that we stay with a 180-day calendar for students. I think what we can do, Madam Chair, is if the board would like us to explore options to include those 4 days, we can give you a calendar that includes those 4 days and then another one that does not. But I think, as Ms. Fleming has indicated, that would extend the school year, likely.
Yeah, it seems
There are trade-offs.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
are trade-offs. Yeah, they also, I mean, Prince William clearly structures their professional development days differently than Manassas Park does. Their teacher report date is August 15th with the same start date of the 22nd. Our teacher report date is August 9th. So, but then, the distribution you'd have to look at the distribution throughout the year. So I think this is definitely something that we, I think it's more than just, I know we've done, in the past, we've done definitely trade-offs, but I think it was for 1 day. A 4-day shift is going to require more thought, and I think doing it on the fly, I think we're ill-served to do that. Mm-hmm. I think what would make sense is if you could go revisit this and take a look at those 4 days. Take a look at Prince William's counter. Take a look at those 4 days. Know that you've been given feedback from the staff clearly and the community. Does the board have any additional feedback that they would like to share at this time?
Only that, to Stacy's point, I mean, both options, one of the top 5 answers was to end the year earlier. Mm-hmm. So
try not to end anything on the back end.
Yeah, adding more days throughout the year is just gonna contradict the one bullet point that's been called out. So
I mean, really, if you didn't want to extend the year, there's only a few places you could get those additional 4 days.
Right.
The Wednesday before Thanksgiving, shorten winter break by 2 days.
Yeah.
Shorten spring break by a day. I mean, that's really the only place you can get those days back without lengthening the school year.
Yeah, but some divisions have the Easter Monday, as not necessarily Easter Monday for students, but a work day for teachers. Potentially, it could be a virtual work day for teachers. That could be a consideration.
But it's still not an instructional day for kids,
Still not
and we
an
need
instructional-
180.
True. Okay. But maybe that could be gained from something. We've never had a whole lot of work days in the calendar, so revisit it. Just take another look. We trust you as professionals, and see what you can come up with. Because I know we have a diverse community, and I think we want everyone's heritage to be honored. It shouldn't be a function that whole groups of students should have to miss school and content, instructional content, even if it's a small group of students. They shouldn't have to miss instructional time to observe their faith or their traditions. And this would be a way to, give some parity. So, we trust you to figure something out, share what you find before the next board meeting, and just email it to us.
Okay.
And we could definitely give you some feedback.
Absolutely.
And then you can definitely have something ready to roll still by that January time frame, but we can just, instead of doing it kind of on the fly in the middle of the meeting, we can get it done with some thought.
Continue to work on it this week.
Yep. Thank you so much.
You're
We
welcome.
appreciate
No
your
problem.
work and your time.
Thank you.
Anything else before he goes? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Moving on. Superintendent update. Dr. Saunders, you're up.
Good evening, board members. Want to take a moment tonight and provide the board and the community with a brief update regarding our mitigation decisions and how we continue to manage the pandemic. It seems like it's a marathon, not a sprint. So our staff and our students and our community continue to be very diligent and continue to be patient as we work through this unprecedented circumstances. And so I want to just, again, say thank you to them, to our nursing staff who work tirelessly throughout the day, on the weekends, to Ms. Kieran Graham, who also supervises them, works through that process. They are working pretty much 24/7. So as you can imagine, we've seen a little bit of an increase in the number of potential cases or positive case investigations after we came back from the Thanksgiving holiday. And I think that's we're not unique. I think that's being the experience happening sort of across the United States at this point. So I want to just share our snapshot with you, which provides you with a little bit of an overview of what's been happening. In the bottom corner, you're going to see our positive case and quarantine data. And so this is all the way from August 23rd through December 9th. And you will see two numbers there. These are our internal numbers. This is information that we collect as a staff. We don't have any special tools that do it. We don't have anything like that. But our staff members do a wonderful job of completing this information, making the contacts, and providing it to us. So the number of total positive case investigations that we have conducted since August 23rd is 43, and the total close contacts quarantine is 756. We continue to have a 14-day quarantine as recommended by the CDC and the Virginia Department of Health. We feel that this is the best process for us at this point. We know that more and more, hopefully we have a lot of families at our vaccine clinic on Saturday. We know as more and more of our students become vaccinated that we can start to think about what our processes will look like once that happens. You can see to the right there of the chart, these are our regional or local data. So you can see right now that Manassas Park is on the top, and we are in a substantial transmission level for Manassas Park. That has increased over the last couple of weeks. And then you can see below that is Prince William County. As I've said before, our students and our staff and our families don't stay right in Manassas Park. We live, work, travel, shop in other areas, and Prince William County is part of that. And their transmission level currently is at high. So if you remember the matrix at the top that we've talked about early on, so I would indicate that we're in a tier C or a substantial. For the division, we continue to wear masks as mitigation. Our students do a very, very good job at this, and this is just part of their daily life and part of their work at this point. We are limiting or modifying in-person gatherings, doing a little bit more virtual, trying to not congregate large groups of kids where we can avoid that or anything unnecessary. And continuing our screening and testing referrals, really looking at vaccination options. And again, our nursing staff is doing a phenomenal job of providing resources to our school and our community. So with that, that's just an update of where we are today, and I'm happy to take any additional questions.
Do you know of the 756 that were quarantined, if any of them came back positive?
I would have to get you that information and let you know what that would be.
Do we even gather it?
We don't necessarily.
what I
So,
was
you
wondering,
could
yeah.
have potentially had someone who was positive, and what we also don't know is if, in fact, that is related to the reason that they were placed in quarantine to begin with, right? Because we all live, work, and move around in lots of different ways, so it's very difficult to attain that. Anytime, we are in direct communication with the Prince William County Health Department, and they provide us with guidance if we see anything that looks concerning. And they provide us with supports in the event that that would happen.
I was just trying to assess whether or not our distancing and the measures that we're taking are working.
Yeah, I mean, it's our nursing staff believes it helps. It keeps our students safe. It keeps us moving in the right direction. We do find that more and more of our students are vaccinated. And so they are able to stay in school if they don't have any symptoms and they're feeling well. And so we see more of that at the secondary level. And more of those quarantines are currently now happening at that elementary level because the students are just now being able to be vaccinated. And that's a process that they'll have to go through.
So it's 14 days, but if you're vaccinated, then and you have no symptoms, then you can come to school.
Correct.
Okay.
As long as you're feeling well, you continue to wear a mask.
Do they have the option to stay home?
Certainly, I'm sure that if the family and the nursing staff had that conversation and worked with the principal, I'm sure that that would be appropriate if they feel unsure or unsafe because of that.
Okay, thank you.
For the secondary students, if they've provided vaccine records, do calls still go home to families, to parents, or I'm seeing nods. So yeah, even if they've provided vaccine records, that the parents are still getting phone calls. They're not just saying no, we don't need to call because okay.
Correct, and we don't actually collect any of the vaccine records. We don't keep those on file, and so we have phone calls with every family that might be in part of one of those investigations.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
One quick one. With winter sports are coming, basketball specifically and wrestling. I know this time last year when we started getting into that tier of substantial, there was discussion about whether or not those sports would take place. Is that up in the air still, or is that kind of a...
I don't believe that I haven't had any conversations with the Virginia High School League or any of the organizations regarding that. That's not come to the attention at this point.
What about the band and the concerts and all of that? Is that also being limited?
We continue to have our concerts. Our principals and our teachers who are hosting those concerts are doing a really good job of creating opportunities for social distancing in the areas. If you've been to some of the concerts, you can see that there are QR codes in different places, and so we're getting to be professionals at QR codes and spaces left for people to try to promote social distancing. It is a balance. We want our students to have those experiences. We want to be able to continue as much instruction, and those concerts are part of instruction and part of the work that they are doing in their classrooms, and that's how they demonstrate that. So it's important to have those things. We just have to be mindful of how we're navigating, bringing in people, and our students, if you see them at the concerts, they sing with their masks on, and they participate perfectly fine. They can't play a French horn or anything with their mask on, but
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. On to new business. The MPCS school updates. Mrs. Calso et al.
okay, I'm gonna let you.
All right. Well, good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board. Thank you for having us here this evening to provide a K-12 update from each of our 4 schools. I am honored to have each of the principals here this evening, and I know they are eager to share what has been happening in each of their buildings. This evening's presentation will certainly cover each of the 3 goals of the strategic plan. This was a fall like no other. This is a picture from the first day of school on the secondary campus. Following a year and a half of remote and hybrid learning, MPCS has had a return to school fully in person 5 days a week for our nearly 3,500 students. I want to commend our teachers, school staff, and building administrators for navigating this incredible and unprecedented beginning of the school year. Our students have clearly been thrilled to be back in school, learning in classrooms, collaborating with peers, connecting with school staff, and participating in all the co-curricular and extracurricular activities that make the school experience so special. Thank you to the families for their continued support and flexibility as we continue to navigate quarantines, remote learning, asynchronous and synchronous instruction. Whether it is instructional or emotional support, our school staff has risen to the challenge and worked hard to meet the needs of the whole child. I believe the presentation tonight by our principals will highlight all that has been accomplished and what is to come in each of the buildings after winter break. With that, I will turn it over to Mrs. Tickle, principal of Cougar Elementary School. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kelso. Good evening, Madam Chair and school board members. Tonight, I'm very excited to share pictures with you and updates from our first semester at Cougar Elementary. As you can see in our return to learn in person, our students and staff are loving being together again. Of course, there were some apprehensions and some nervousness at the beginning with implementing the adjustments for our new protocols, but the perseverance and determination of our staff to meet all of the needs of our students has helped the transition be as seamless as possible. As you can see from all of the pictures, our students have no problem with accepting the new norm and have jumped right back into learning. Aren't they all so cute? It's the best job ever. Okay. We recognize that all learners would need a variety of support socially and academically to help them reacclimate to the school environment and face-to-face learning. To accomplish this task, we have provided teachers with professional development through our school counselors on delivering social emotional learning lessons daily in the classroom and the implementation of our school-wide bucket filling program that focuses on positive reinforcement and making good choices. Additionally, Mrs. Craigill and I wanted to make sure our staff feels supported and appreciated. This has been done through monthly celebrations, notes of encouragements, and surprise pop-up events. Academically, we are extremely proud to announce that our VPI program received full accreditation in November. The team worked diligently with Mrs. Roach to fulfill all class requirements and complete multiple tasks for review. To address learning gaps, interventions have been put into place for pre-K through second grade, and to understand where we had gaps in learning, teachers completed a variety of assessments that determined those interventions in daily instruction. Finally, we wanted to inspire a drive and love for math. And who doesn't love a healthy competition that I learned when I was at middle school? With a glowing gold trophy filled with poppets and fidgets and more. Utilizing Imagine Math, one of our interventions, our students in kindergarten to second grade completed over 2,000 individual lessons to boost their math skills. A congrats goes out to Miss Thomas's second grade class. They completed 122 lessons. We're talking just about a month and a half span of time, friends. So that is a big deal for our little guys. We are very much looking forward to an amazing second semester filled with access testing, continued integration of the new creative curriculum in pre-K, and celebrating student and staff successes along the way. Thank you. Ooh, Mrs. Mammon from Manassas Park Elementary School.
Raise the microphone. Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board. I am pleased to be here with you tonight to share highlights of the beginning of the school year at Manassas Park Elementary School. Last year, our teachers, staff members, students, and parents demonstrated perseverance, creativity, and a willingness to learn and grow as we all work together to support our students and each other. We knew that we had an opportunity in this new school year to leverage all that we had learned about teaching, learning, and ourselves to create a new and innovative MPES school community. We were all so excited to welcome our students back to in-person learning 5 days a week, but nothing could compare to the feelings when that first day of school actually came. There was not a single mask that could hide the smiles from our students, teachers, and staff. Extraordinary things happened last year, but there has been nothing better than having our entire school community back together in person this year. The pictures on the screen represent just a snapshot of what has been taking place in our classrooms, indoor and outdoor classrooms, as you can see, so far this school year. Of course, we knew coming into this school year that we were going to have to be very intentional about supporting our students and teachers as we all transition back into the in-person learning environment. Our focus has been and will continue to be on both academic needs and social-emotional needs. Teachers spent the first weeks of school working to identify students' areas of unfinished learning in order to best plan and deliver Tier 1 instruction and provide targeted remediation and enrichment. This has included many different formal and informal assessments that have provided us with detailed information on students' readiness to learn and master current grade level skills and standards. With this data from multiple sources, we have been able to meet students where they are in their learning and be focused with instruction, resources, scaffolds, and supports that we provide each and every student. You can see on the screen some examples of what has been taking place so far, to include targeted reading interventions provided by our interventionist, online programs that provide individualized instruction. Mrs. Tickle spoke about Imagine Math. We have Achieve 3000, which does similar personalization in literacy, supportive literacy classes for our English language learners, a daily remediation and enrichment block called our CARE block that our homeroom teachers provide that during the day. And then, of course, daily differentiated small group literacy and math instruction, flexible groups that our teachers are able to respond to both formal and informal data to meet the needs of their students. The social and emotional well-being of our students, teachers, and staff is of the highest priority for everyone at MPES. With the addition of a third school counselor, we have been able to expand the resources and supports available to our school community. Our approach this year has been a combination of both proactive and responsive. Our 3 school counselors provide targeted counseling lessons through our specials rotations, which is 1 to 2 times every 6 days. So far this year, these lessons have focused on helping students learn how to transition back to that in-person school environment, including building and maintaining positive peer relationships, developing coping strategies for challenging situations, making choices that positively impact our school, and learning ways to navigate an environment that is so different than it's been the past year and a half. In addition, our master schedule was changed to include 15 minutes of daily SEL time in all of our homeroom classrooms. This time is used by our teachers to build their classroom communities and support needs specific to his or her individual class. These first few months have definitely been busy, but no one at MPES would have it any other way. As we look ahead, we will continue our efforts to identify and target the needs of our students, teachers, and families. This includes the support we provide to families during the holidays, the continuation of Nourishing Ninjas, our weekend backpack food program, virtual and in-person professional learning opportunities for our teachers that help them continue to learn and grow in their practices, and finding ways to be innovative in engaging our families through events such as our STEM Carnival. I'd like to commend all of our teachers and staff members, all of our families that support us for a great start to the school year at Manassas Park Elementary School. I look forward to sharing more highlights with you as the year progresses. Thank you very much for your support. Now I'd like to introduce Dr. Matt Seeloff, principal of Manassas Park Middle School.
Thank you, Ms. Mammon. So much like Cougar and Manassas Park Elementary, Manassas Park Middle School students and staff are very excited to welcome everyone back in the building. It has to be said that there's something just wrong about a school that doesn't have children in it, and having them back in there just feels right. And it's wonderful to have that feeling again. One thing I do want to highlight that was very absent last year is that even when athletics came back for the high school, middle school never had the opportunity for athletics because Prince William Athletics decided not to do that for the middle school level. This year, athletics are back. In fact, this afternoon when I left, Manassas Park was leading Parkside 9-8 in girls basketball, so we'll see how it's going. That said, we were very excited to have our fall sports, even though we did have some COVID interruptions this fall. The experience of playing on a sports team is something that is critical for many children because that's the reason why they get hooked into secondary school. And in middle school, there can be challenging times, and sometimes it's the athletics and the arts that can save them when they get through those different moments, and having them back in their life is a wonderful thing. In fact, last week's newsletter featured all of the band programs, so if you weren't one of the invited few that can come into the band, you still get a chance to see it on video. And we have a new 4K video camera, and it is outstanding. You should check out those videos. This weekend, this Friday, you'll be able to see our choir concerts, which they recorded separately so that they can be able to see what they're going to do. So the same level of performance is still happening. It's just looking a little bit different this year. Inside of Manassas Park Middle School, we have blended learning in all classes. One of the neatest things to see as a principal is that teachers are taking the things that worked before in the best parts of last year, and they're mashing them together. For example, the picture you see of a green screen. Traditionally, they would look at different parts of American colonization in 6th grade, and they would make a journal where students would stain paper with tea bags in order to get that same kind of journal. This year, students had the option to record a movie trailer of that colony. And they could use a green screen to show the different elements behind it using different pictures and kind of a Ken Burns effect for what they were going to do. And there were groups that took that advantage, which made some fantastic final projects. When we're looking at hands-on learning, one of the things that was lost when students are at home is the chance to do projects together. So the picture you see right in the middle is from the grilled cheese final exam, where students in 6th grade had developed and plate grilled cheese for a panel of judges, similar to what you would see on Chopped, except they knew they were getting cheese in advance. While I was not chosen to be a judge, I heard the final results were delicious. Additionally, you can also see on the left, that's a 6th grade ecology project where they are looking at different ways that soil samples would go in water, hits it. And on the right, our 7th grade STEM classes, they were building catapults to try to launch pumpkins. The winning pumpkin catapult only went 7 feet, but it was a great experience. Inside of the school, we were looking to address concerns that we knew coming in and then things coming through. Similar to everything that Ms. Mammon highlighted in MPE, we're running counseling lunch groups where different students have different needs and they're meeting with their counselor and having lunch together. We also have morning meetings where counselors are giving topics for groups to talk about things that are non-academic to rebuild those social connections. After school, 3 days a week, we have a homework club. This homework club is staffed by 3 teachers who can support student learning and making sure that kids have a safe place to hang out after school and get something productive done. That's been a wonderful hit with typically 40 to 50 students there every single day. Wow. We also have math and reading interventions where we have staff members that are using a portion of their planning time to do small group interventions. These are groups of 5 to 8 in both math and reading to make sure that students who have the biggest gaps are getting small group support that's separate out from their peers. Because many times a student who's borderline illiterate doesn't want their peers to know about it, so they'll be silent in the room. This allows them to be pulled out to do basic reading instruction that can then accelerate them when they return back to the classroom because there's no stigma when everyone's at the same level and you're away from your peers. That's been really successful to basically supercharge when they come back into what they're doing with the rest of the classroom. When we're looking ahead, right now we're in the middle of girls basketball season. It's a good season. We have a chance to maybe hang another banner on the wall, so we'll see how that ends up. We have our first round of SWL testing coming up for our 8th graders in January, with civics and science coming up. And then we really begin the spring world of testing with WIDA access testing in February, and then wrestling and boys basketball seasons tryouts begin at the end of January. One thing I do want to highlight, and I hope to present to you more details, we won a grant called Gear Up VA. Gear Up VA is an opportunity for our entire current 7th grade cohort to receive additional opportunities to learn about colleges going forward. This is about $20,000 that we can use to create different opportunities to expose them to different colleges and careers and postgraduate opportunities. And then after they graduate, if there is any money left over in the total grant for the state, it's an opportunity for them to get small scholarship stipends towards their postgraduate opportunities as long as they graduate on time. I do hope to give you a deeper presentation on that going forward, but I just want to give you that little bit of a teaser because it's one that we applied for last year, and when we got it, it's like, ooh, this is a really good one. So with that, I turn it over to Mr. Charles Forrest, Manassas Park High School.
Thank you very much. It is my privilege to share really a snapshot of what's been happening at Manassas Park High School so far this fall as we have returned. As you can see, included a lot of photographs just to give you an idea of some of the events, and just to echo what has been said, definitely the hallways feel much better with students in them and in classrooms as well. So we kicked off the beginning of our year really with homecoming. We made a lot of modifications, but it was something that our students really looked forward to. We had modified pep rally where our band, cheerleaders, and our senior athletes paraded down the hallway. We were able to conduct our lunch games, which our students enjoy, competing against one another and competing against teachers. Sadly, teachers came in last, but we did have a very strong showing, so there was a lot of school spirit that was there. We were also able to have our homecoming court as well, which we recognized at the football game. As you can also see some of the pictures in the center, we were able to have our Expectations of Excellence ceremony. We were really excited that our seniors were able to invite some guests for the first time in a year to really welcome them. And of course, this is one of the first 3 big events for our seniors. As you can see as well, we recognize our most valuable Cougar. So that is the senior that is selected with outstanding characteristics. This senior is voted on by his peers in his senior class, as well as the faculty as well. So it says a lot about a young person if they are selected the most valuable Cougar. And it was a great thing that we could actually celebrate and have his family in attendance. If you also notice, we were able to do a benchmark really for our, or a key event for our freshmen, and that's the ringing of the Bell of Knowledge. Last year it was heavily modified, and it kind of lost a lot of that feel. So it was great to have our freshman sponsors, our teachers out there to support them. We did something a little bit new this year as well. We had our seniors form a gauntlet that our freshmen were able to walk through. It's kind of the reverse of what we'll experience at graduation. But why the ringing of the bell is so important is a commitment to excellence, is a commitment to graduation. And so just that experience of our students being able to walk through and our seniors support them was really important. Obviously, we've had the return of sports as well, so it was great to have fans in the stands and attending our activities. Obviously, with fall, we had football, volleyball, cross country, and cheer. And we are in the midst or beginnings of our winter sports, which is basketball, indoor track, wrestling, and swim. So we're excited that we can support all of those. We may have created a new tradition at Manassas Park. So because of some of the things we weren't able to do earlier in the year, we ended up having a fall senior night where we recognized some of our fall senior athletes. We also had an SGA Fall Festival, which they're already planning on ideas on how they can expand and make that even better. And we had a marching band showcase. I don't know if any of you got to attend, but it was a really special night. It drew a lot of our students and a lot of parents. And the band kids really loved it. They felt like the whole evening was basically for them. But we got to highlight and showcase a lot of our other students as well. Even though not all the pictures are up here, we did have a lot of other VHSL activities that are going on. So our DECA Club has begun competition and have made it through their regionals, and they're looking at states as well. You do see the picture in the top right corner. That is our Fall 1 act. Order 4 is the name of the play, and it was written and it was directed by our students. So that was very special as well, and they were able to compete and showcase their talents there. Scholastic Bowl, or academic team, has also been up and running, and they had a chance to compete as well. And of course, the fine arts. The ability of our marching band, and you can see them there when they did their halftime performance at the Wizards game in Washington, D.C., and of course, our choir concerts as well. So the return of our students and the return of activities has definitely been a highlight. When it comes to some of our learning, it's just amazing when you can have hands-on learning with your students. You can get students up and moving. You can find ways to move them about the classroom, or they interact with one another. I know in particular our science teachers have loved having our students explore a little bit, whether it's through experimentation, whether it's exploring the physical world outside. Even something simply as math. Being able to expand their movement as well has been very important. They've utilized interactive notebooks with foldables, with pull-out notes, and with a more tactile process, which has been great. So if you see the picture on the left-hand side, that's Mr. Gamble's marketing class. So even some of their brochures, their presentations that they've been able to do, again, incorporates both technology and some of their drawing and some of the arts that they've been able to accomplish. The center picture there is actually kind of from Cake Wars. It's from one of our CTE classes. They created a whole visual presentation based on Halloween themes, and then judges were able to come in, judge, and also sample what they baked and what they made as well. And just talking about that utilization of new learning spaces, you can see Miss Sass in the top right, who found a very creative way to have her class outside while also social distancing at the same time. Different ways of supporting our students. This year, our peer mentoring group has very much taken off, which we're excited about. And this is some of our seniors, some of our juniors who connect with other students. They advocate for awareness for student challenges that they may go through. They have a great job of mentoring other students and younger students as well. And they've done a fabulous job of being leaders in our building. We've also had a social media club as well that have helped present things for our school Instagram account as well. So whether it's writing content, whether it's taking pictures, but they also have been heavily involved in meeting the needs of our school. Ganas, as you see there as well, serves some of our EL students, and they have figured out ways that they can support our students. They can integrate them into school activities. They can help build community as well. And then if you see the last two pictures that are on the right, these were actually part of our peer mentors and others who wanted to welcome new students who experienced Manassas Park High School for the first time. So they actually planned activities. They had various stations for some of our new students to go to. And so they've done a great job of providing that student leadership. And actually, I'm going to go back for just a second if I can. One thing I failed to mention too, new after school activities and groups. One of the things that always amazes me is to walk after the hallways after school and see what's going on. New clubs seem to pop up, whether it's a chess club, whether it's a board club, students playing games, teachers supporting them. One of our new math teachers has kind of created a math homework club. I think sometimes they do math and other times they dance in the hallway, but they have all found various ways of drawing kids in and give them some of that individualized attention. So you can see our teachers are supporting our students, and it's just so refreshing to see some of our student leaders do that as well. So looking ahead, obviously we do have the holiday concerts, and we're excited about those. We are practicing social distancing. Those QR codes are definitely there. We are excited to announce as well that we're gauging student interest in the regional science fair. It's been a number of years since we actually have participated in that. We have a couple of science teachers who are taking the lead, and I think that's a fabulous thing, and I really look forward to seeing what projects and presentations we can come up with and what our students come up with. A little bit of the scary thing is when we return back from our winter break, we have roughly about 13 school days before the end of the semester. So you feel a little bit of that time crunch as the semester winds down. Of course, that's important for us with our semester classes as we finalize those grades, as we look at our SOL testing, and teachers are beginning those remediation sessions with their students to ensure their success. So we are very much looking forward to completing a successful first semester. Thank you for your time, and now I'll turn it back over to Mrs. Calso.
Thank you, principals. That does conclude our presentation this evening.
Okay.
Any comments or questions?
Comments or questions from the board?
I just want to say that while you were presenting, all of you, I was zooming in on the pictures and looking at the pictures and seeing what was actually going on. And it was very apparent that the teachers were connecting with the students and the teachers were connecting with each other. And when we did the tour of all of the schools, you could have taken those pictures that day as well. It seems like it's an everyday thing. It's not a special thing. It's an everyday thing. And so thank you.
truly, I know this is a exceptional year, living it myself next door. And I know how much work is going into making this experience day in, day out, one of learning, not just learning, but learning and stability after 18 months of just, complete instability. And it is quite honestly exhausting for all involved. And I appreciate deeply the hard work and dedication that is going into it at every level. So thank you so much for taking the time out to come and share that with us this evening. And thank you to your staffs, professional and paraprofessional alike, that are putting in the hard work of wearing so many hats this year. It is truly and deeply appreciated. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Upcoming meetings. Just a note, on Monday, January 10th, we will not have a work session. Several of our executive team have other professional obligations, professional development that day. So we are striking that one because we have two other meetings in January. We have a regular school board meeting on Monday, January 24th at 6:59 p.m. And we have a school board retreat the following Monday, January 31st, 6:59 p.m., both here in the school board meeting room. So just, you can go ahead and cut the January 10th off your calendar. And board member comments. Any board member comments?
I just want to say thank you. This was not on the part of tonight's agenda, but obviously we had a rough week last week, and thank you so much to the schools, the administration, superintendent, for how everything was handled. It was really amazing to see the collaboration, the communication. We got a lot of positive feedback from the governing body, thanks to them, Manassas City Police Department. I mean, it was really just amazing to sit back and see all hands on deck and move as quickly as they did. So I just really wanted to emphasize and publicly thank you guys so much for everything you did last week.
And I would like to add to that, thank you to the community for their flexibility and support with pivoting to the asynchronous day on Friday. I know these things can be very taxing as working parents, coming up with childcare, but it was very necessary, very needed, and certainly deeply appreciated by all of us in this room. So thank you very much. And I wish everyone, both in this room and watching at home, in the buildings and in this community, just a wonderful, wonderful holiday season. All right.
So I also want to say thank you. I received comments from citizens and from citizens outside of our jurisdiction, called, let me know, great call, it was handled well. So I also got a lot of feedback as well. So thank you.
Okay. All right. Seeing no further board member comments, I will go ahead and call us adjourned.